ओ ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणम् सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। श्रीचिन्मययतीशस्य गुरुं वन्दे तपोवनं तं हिमवद्विभूतिं वै ज्ञानवैराग्यरूपिणं समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयम् नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। ॐ श्री गणेशाय नमः। ॐ श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। So Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji, after in the first three verses, he gives us the Aikyam, the oneness between Brahman and Jiva. Jiva Brahmaiva Aikyam. In the first, he talks about Jiva, the second about the creator, and in the third, the oneness. And then the third and the fourth shloka also talk about Brahman as Sat and Chit. The third shloka talks about Sat as existence, and the fourth shloka as Chit as consciousness that within and without, but within each human being manifests as light of consciousness, which through the mind illumines the senses. The fifth shloka and the sixth shloka, he refutes all the arguments of the philosophers of that time that I am this body, I am the mind, or I am shunya, I am nothing. I came from nothing and I go back to nothing. And then the Kshanik Vijnanvadis also, who said that life is recurring series of consciousness. So that was refuted in the sixth shloka. In the sixth shloka, Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji also gave us the concept of pratyabhijna. What I have seen before, like I have seen a young boy 4 or 5 years running around, and then 40 years later, I see him as a CEO of some big company or has his own software company. Then I say, oh, the same boy is that same man. So that oneness is called pratyabhijna, where at a different time and a different location, I recognize this person as the same, which means there is one consciousness, because the person has changed, the space has changed, the time has changed. I mean, the bodily and mentally, everywhere the person has changed. But if I still recognize the oneness, that alone is this, that is called pratyabhijna. And then in the last shloka, we saw the continuous thread. That's what Bhagavan Shri Krishna says in the 7th chapter. Mataf parataram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya mai sarvam idam protam sutre mani ganaiva. He says, just as This world does not extend beyond me. In fact, I extend beyond the world as Brahman. And this, I pervade the whole world. I support the whole world just as a thread supports a necklace. So that's what we saw in the 7th shloka, that balyadishvapi jagradadishu tatha sarvavavasthasu, in all states, childhood, youth and old age, waking, dream and deep sleep, in all these changing vyavrattasu anuvartama. So the idea of Anvaya Vyatirek, that there is this consciousness which is continuous, which is supporting all these changes. So Vyatirek is all these changes. We saw the example of Bhagavan Vishnu and the Dash Avatara. So what Shankaracharya ji is telling us, that this whole world is Brahman. Everything is Brahman. There is nothing but Brahman alone. So then this person comes, this Purva Pakshi, he says, you say everything is Brahman? Yes. I am Brahman, you are Brahman? Yes. Lion, tiger, everybody? Yes. He said, then why are we wasting our time? Why do I have to study? I'm already Brahman. Why do I have to do good karmas and try to go to heaven and try to attain enlightenment? I'm already Brahman. Enjoy life, khao, piyo, maja karo. Why are you wasting your time sitting in front of the Guru, prostrating and telling Guru, teach me? If Guru is Brahman and I am Brahman, then how is Brahman teaching Brahman? So why do I need to go to a Guru? So life is meant for enjoyment. Don't waste your time in these useless spiritual pursuits. And that is Purva Pakshi, but I also feel to some extent, yeah, that is the point. Teacher says, I am Brahman, but I don't feel it. I don't feel I am Brahman. I feel I am bound. And if I don't, and I feel I am this limited ego and my name is Anil and I'm a male, and I don't feel all these things that the Guru is telling us, you are that Sat Chit Anand, Atman, Brahman, all pervading, Avyayam, and Avinashi, Avikari. I don't feel that. I feel I am changing. I feel I am dying. So then where do I stand? How do I get out of this? And I feel that this world is very real. I don't feel that this world is unreal. So, mera kya hoga? What am I to do in this? So, Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji answers very beautifully. For those of us who still are at the level of the world and have not yet reached the highest state of understanding. Kusum, can you repeat, please? Shloka number 8. Vishvam pashyati karya karanataya.
Vishvam pashyati karya karanataya.
Saswami sambandhataha.
Saswami sambandhataha.
Shishyacharyataya tathaiva pitru.
Shishyacharyataya tatheva pitru.
Putradhyatmana bhedataha.
Putradhyatmana bhedataha.
Swapne jagrati vaya esha purusho.
Swapne jagrati vaya esha purusho.
Maya paribhramitaha.
Maya paribhramitaha.
Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Nama Idam Shri Dakshina Murtaye.
Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Nama Idam Shri Dakshina Murtaye. Sorry, my team.
So, Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji says, Vishwam, this world, Pashyati, this individual, this jiva who is not yet at that state of evolution or enlightenment. So he sees this world as what? Karya karanataya, just as cause and effect. Karya means the effect and karana is the cause. Why karya is said before karana? Because there is a Sanskrit rule that the shorter word comes before the longer word. Even though karana appears before karya, but that is just aside. So karya karana, just as cause and effect, sa swa swami sambandhatah. Swami means the owner, the possessor, and swa is possessed. So possessed and possessor, owner and owned. Sambandhata. Sambandha means a relationship. So all my objects that I own, my relationship is I am the Swami, and this object is owned by me. It could be my car, my house, my cell phone, whatever. And then there is another relationship, Shishya Acharya, student and teacher, Taya, as student and teacher. And the fourth, Tatha Aiva, also Pitra and Putra, Pita and Putra. So father and son, Adhyatmana. In himself, the individual sees all these relationships. That, okay, I was a son, now I became a father. I was a daughter, now I became a mother. So who am I? Am I mother or am I daughter? So those bhedas, those differences he sees, this individual, all these differences, cause and effect, owner and owned, teacher and student, father, son, mother, etc. And this person is deluded in all states. Swapne in the dream, Jagrati in the waking, and Va means or deep sleep. So deep sleep here is understood. So this person is deluded in waking, dream, and deep sleep. Esha Purushaha. Purushaha becomes Purusho. But Purushaha, Shankaracharya ji deliberately uses the word because Purushaha, one is human being, not male, but human being. You know, we say hum sab Purush hain. So, but Purusha also is the supreme. You know, Brahman manifesting Purusha and Prakriti, the spirit. So deliberately he uses this word and he says, even though I am that Purusha, I am that supreme being, what happens to me? Maya paribhramitaha. Maya is this delusion, we know that. And Brahmita means chakkar kha gaya. I am, you know, my head is spinning, I am deluded. Pari means completely deluded. So because of Maya, this individual is completely deluded. His head is spinning in confusion. But even then, even that deluded being is Dakshinamurti. So he says to that deluded being, Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Namaidam. To that deluded being also I prostrate, Dakshinamurtaye, because Dakshinamurti, Bhagwan himself has manifested as this deluded human. It's a very, very beautiful shloka. Took me a while actually to understand because there is a lot of different ideas in it. So how do these relations come about? These differences come about? You know, father, son, student, teacher, owner, owned, and so on, cause and effect, because of Dvaitam. Because I think there are two. I start with I am separate and then Bhagwan is somebody separate. And the world is separate from me. So there is actually not Dvaitam, there is multitude. But starts with I am separate. I am separate from Jeev, Jagat, and Ishvara. So we have three entities. So because of that, all the jhanjat starts when I start with that idea that I am this individual Jiva. And then all relationships happen, you know, as we said, father, son, can be brother, sister, you know, father-in-law, mother-in-law, daughter-in-law. So all relationships start with this idea of Dvaitam. And what do we say? That all what I have is a result of my karma, or the scriptures tell us, whatever I possess, when I worked hard, so I earned and I collected. But they say even the body we get is a result of past karmas. Because of past karmas and because of past vasanas, I get a particular body, male or female. The kind of parents I choose also depends on my karmas and vasanas, where my vasanas can be exhausted and my karmas can be fulfilled. So everything is related to karmas, whatever I own, whatever my relationships are. And all of this is cause and effect. So we think everything is cause and effect. Like I was hungry, I ate food. So food is the cause of satisfaction of my hunger. There are too many cars and industries, so that causes air pollution. So everything that happens, we connect as cause and effect. And whatever good or bad is happening, we say it is because of the karmas. And then whether I'm superior, I'm inferior, I am good, I am bad, all that is a concept of karma. If I do good karma, then I feel good. If I do bad, then. So even though I am one entity, they say we have made ourselves as three eyes, even though I am one, Anil or Lata or Kusum, but I have made myself into three, and that they call as Putra, Vitta, and Pinda. Putra means child. So I so much identify with my child. Oh, my daughter is in college now, what's happening to her? And if something bad happens, oh, bad is happening to me. If she is not well, I am not well. So our strong identification with child and with our other relations, but specifically with children. Then Vitta. Vitta means wealth. I identify 100%. If I have a big house and somebody praises you have a nice house, I feel very happy. And somebody says, Kya tu, where are you living? Then I feel depressed. So or not even that, my car, if somebody says you have a nice car, I get happy because I have so much identification with my car. Or same thing with my child. If my child is doing well in college, I feel proud. If he's not, I feel I'm useless. So I so much identify with my possessions, all possessions. And the third is Pinda, and that is the worst with this body. That I am this body, and whatever is happening to the body is happening to me. So three very strong connections, Putra, Vitta, and Pinda. And this we have talked about again and again, but the repetition, as Gurudev says, is the only way for the idea to sink and to make a deep groove, that this body identity. So from one individual, now I have become three individuals: child, property, and body. And the scriptures tell us that you are Satchidanand Brahman. That's why in Aham Asmi Sadabhami Kadachin Naham Apriyaha Brahme Vaham Atha Siddham Satchidananda Rupam. So he says, I am Aham Asmi. That means I am Sat. If I exist, then I am existence. I am Sat. And I know, like we said in the fourth shloka, I can see, I can hear, I can know, then I am of the nature of Chit. How am I of the nature of Ananda? Because I love myself. I love myself, and anybody who gives me joy, I love them too. So I love my husband, not because of what he is, but because he gives me security, he gives me comfort. Anybody, my child, I love because future security, when I get old, my son will take care of me, make sure he doesn't put me in a nursing home. So all those things. So everybody we connect because I love myself. So that is called Sat Chit Anand. So we are all those three, but we are deluded by Maya. And Gurudev in his commentary says that actually, if everything is Brahman, there is no creation, there is no creator, there is no Brahmaji, there is no world, there is no human, animal, bird, plant. And we have talked about that before. According to Mandukya Upanishad, creation is not possible. There cannot be creation, because if I am created from Brahma, then I should have all qualities of Brahman, right? Brahman is infinite. I am limited. Brahman is all pervading. I am only in this space. Brahman is all knowing. I am ignorant. Brahman is all powerful. I am weak. So if you say this creation came out of Brahman, it has none of the properties of Brahman. In fact, it is completely opposite. So that's why we had talked in the second shloka that this world was created as an illusion by Maya Shakti, which is veiling, which veils the truth and then projects the world. Like the snake, like we don't see the rope, so we project a snake. So this is called Avarana and Vikshepa Shakti. But this Maya Shakti is so powerful that even though I am Brahman, even though for last 30 years we have been going to Chinmaya mission, hearing you are Brahman, it doesn't register because Maya Shakti is so strong. Paribhramitaha, we are completely, pari means it's a prefix, we'll be studying. Pari means all around. We are completely confused, like when we go around the mandir, we say parikrama, we go all around. So pari means completely deluded. And one interesting side note, Maya is actually male. In Sanskrit, Maya is a male noun. Even I myself didn't know that. We always think Maya, is very powerful, badi shaktiman hai. Now in Hindi, it is female, but in Sanskrit, Maya is male and is conjugated as Deva, 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 Maya, Mayau, Mayaha. The whole thing. So it's very interesting. Maya is actually male in Sanskrit. But anyway, so then they say that when you are in ignorance, then the knowledge will awaken you. And what is the knowledge? They say go to the Vedas, go to the scriptures, study Vedanta, study the Upanishads, and get this knowledge. And once you learn, then this knowledge will waken you up. You say, but you say the world is Maya? Yes. You say the world is illusion? Yes. You say the world is Brahmita? Yes. Well, the Vedas are also part of the world. So they are also illusion. They are also deluded. And the teacher is also illusion. Teacher is also deluded. Everything is Maya. So then what am I going to learn from the Vedas? It is like the blind teaching the blind. So they say, no. Vedanta is, as we have studied many times, they call Vedanta as Vedanta Kesari. Kesari means the lion. So what happens is, just as when I'm in a dream and I'm running through the forest and I'm lost and I'm confused and I'm thirsty and I'm hurt and suddenly a lion roars and then I wake up from the dream. Oh, where am I? I'm not in Africa. I'm in my bed. I'm sleeping. So just as the lion in the dream, lion is part of the dream, but wakes me up through my true nature that I am sleeping in Bakersfield. I am not in the forest. So same way, Vedanta and the Guru, that's why Guru, Vakyeshu, Vishwasa, Iti Shraddha. Shankaracharya ji says, belief in the Vakya of the Guru and the Shastra is Shraddha, and with that Shraddha, you will wake up. So this knowledge from the scriptures will wake you up to your true nature, even though the scriptures belong to Maya, belong to delusion, but they are meant to awaken us because the master Guru who is teaching has understood the truth. See, these great rishis, when they meditated and they became one with the truth, they heard the truth in their meditation. That's why the Vedas are called Shruti. They heard, and this knowledge of these masters was communicated through us, through these scriptures, through these books, which initially were orally passed on by teacher to student, teacher to student. And then ultimately were organized into 4 separate Vedas, 4 separate texts by Ved Vyasa ji. So it is through study of the book, study of the scriptures, that my delusion will be removed. Talking about book, there was a book seller, who make books, these publishers of books. So they were doing a survey, what kind of books we should publish. So they send this man to go around and, do the survey. So he knocks on one house and this lady opens the door. He says, ma'am, I am here from the book publishers and we are doing a survey and we want to know what kind of book has helped you the most. She says, what kind of book has helped me the most? My husband's checkbook. So she said, I don't need any other books. If I have that, I am good. So this knowledge is essential to wake up to the truth. And very beautifully, it has been shown this vidya and avidya, this knowledge and ignorance has been very well shown in Mundak Upanishad. If you read the Mundak Upanishad, Gurudev also quotes it in his commentary. He says, Thou Suparna Sayuja Sakhaya Samanam Vriksham Parishasva Jate. So there are these two birds who are together, very good friends. Sakhaya, Sayuja Sakha together, Samanam Vriksham, in the same tree, Parishasva Jate, they are perched. So there are two birds perched on one tree. Now, what do the two birds do? So the Upanishad continues, says that one bird is running from fruit to fruit. Okay, one time he eats some fruit, it is very sweet. He's happy. The next fruit is bitter and the third fruit is sour. So he starts crying, he's miserable. So he goes back to the first bird, the one who is just sitting, watching, not saying anything, not doing anything, not running after fruits. And he goes crying to that bird and the bird is still silent. After a while, he sees, there are more fruits, let me go get them. So again, he goes from tree to tree, branch to branch in the same tree and enjoying good and bad fruits and suffering all those consequences. So the reason this beautiful example is given, because we are like that, the first bird that is running from branch to branch, looking for happiness. We are going from object to object. Oh, this will give me happiness. After a while, that same object gives me sorrow. So then I go back running to the second bird. That is who? That is the self, the consciousness, the Brahman, God within. And we go running, oh God, why am I having these problems? Why are you making me suffer? God says, I don't do anything. I'm just watching. I am the witness. It is you who is running around in the world looking for joy. And when you get joy, you get happy. When you get sorrow, you get unhappy. Then you come crying to me. After a while, everything is okay. Chalo, let me go again. And not only in this life, but the tree is for many lifetimes. It goes on and on and on and on, looking for joy and sorrow. So they say that even though I am this Purusha, I am this supreme being, I am the spirit, but I am deluded and I think myself to be bound. I think myself to be caught. And Gurudev says, why? Because of the mind. Because my mind, even though it has the right knowledge, is not able to abide in this knowledge. And the mind, when it gets disturbed, I think I am disturbed. Like when the sun is not disturbed, but in the pond, when there are ripples, we think the sunlight is disturbed, but the sun is up in the sky. So even though I am of the nature of sun, I am of the nature of Purusha, but identified with my mind, I think myself to be deluded. And so these scriptures are meant to awaken us, to wake us up. I heard a very beautiful example. So they said this Mahakasha, this Mahakasha, this big, total big space, when it comes in a pot, it starts thinking, I am small space, I am pot space. That is illusion, right? There is Mahakasha, but suddenly starts thinking, I am pot space, I am Ghatakasha. Worse than that, pot space starts thinking, I am pot. Not even I am space, not even I am total space, I am pot. And then when pot is dirty, I am dirty. When the pot is clean, I am clean. When the pot is broken, I'm. So that is your and my condition. One is consciousness. Okay, chalo, smaller than that, you can say is jiva. That is like the part space. I think I am jiva. But even not thinking I am jiva, thinking I am body is like thinking I am part. Mahakasha, thinking I am the part, and that is called delusion. So the commentary says, Mahakasha is only related to Ghatakash. Mahakasha thinks itself to be Ghatakash. Actually, there is only one, Akash. There is no Mahakash, there is no Ghatakash, there is no big space, there is no limited space. One space alone appears as part space, room space, hall space, total space. But even to call it great space or total space is false, because actually there is only one space appearing as many. So similarly, there is only one Brahman, and when I think myself to be the body, it's like the total space thinking itself to be the part. But I feel very incapable of giving up all these sambandhas, Shishya, Acharya, and Guru, and then Pitra, and Guru to chalo, at least will help me, but all this, my son and my daughter and my wife and my husband and my money and my body, all these sambandhas are very difficult to give up. How do I give up? Develop a new sambandha, and that is Shishya Acharya Sambandha. That is the only sambandha you should develop. He said, then that will become one more conditioning, right? One more. I already thought I was daughter, and then mother, and then I thought I was house owner, and then I thought I was body. Now you are saying become student. You are making a fourth sambandha. They said, but this fourth sambandha will remove all the other three. The other three will be removed when you go to a teacher and learn properly from the teacher. The teacher knows he is Brahman, but the Shishya, until he realizes the truth, should say, I am Shishya. He should not say, I am Brahman. The teacher may keep telling him, you are Brahman, you are Brahman, you are Brahman. His attitude should be, I am a Shishya. I prostrate to the teacher, because if I am Brahman and Guru is Brahman, then why should I bother to learn? So the humility should be there when we approach a teacher, that I am. In fact, these great masters, even after they have realized, they never lose gratitude to their teacher. Look at Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda. He had so much gratitude to Tapovan Maharaj. Sometime, if I have time, I'll read. He has written 2 beautiful paragraphs on Tapovan Jayanti. How great Tapovan Maharaj was or is, and how much he has given to Gurudev. If you look at Shankaracharya ji, he is realized. But, in this Govindam Paramanandam, Sadgurum Pranatosmiham. So Shankaracharya ji says, I prostrate to Govindam. One is, of course, Govinda is Sri Krishna, but Govinda Pada, my Guru, to that Guru I prostrate. He starts Vivek Chudamani with that. We all do that every Wednesday night. So how do we approach the teacher? How do I get this knowledge? So they say, do some karma yoga and do some upasana. Do some service, give back to the society. Don't just take. See, how can I give? That's what Kennedy said. Ask not what the country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. And second is upasana. Do some regular puja, some regular prayer, some chanting, and spend time close to God, association with God. So when you do these two, and then you approach a teacher, then your jivahood will become less. That this idea that I am somebody special, this ego will become less. I will get closer to this divinity, even though I have Dvaita, okay, me and Sri Krishna or me and Lord Shiva, but my humility will lessen, my ego will lessen. And then when the Guru pours the knowledge, then the knowledge will stay. So what this knowledge will do is develop a sangha. develop detachment. That these three, remember the three attachments, putra, vitta, and pinda, the child and wealth and body, slowly the attachment will reduce. So you have to develop vairagya and you have to develop mumukshutva. Detachment and the intense desire for liberation, that enough, it is enough. I have spent so many lifetimes. And this idea that I am enjoying because of doing, this karta bhokta bhav, that I did something wrong, that's why I'm suffering. I did something good, that's why I am enjoying, is all ignorance. Because who did this action? The body did, right? Okay, 10 years ago, I studied very well, or whatever, 40 years ago, then I passed my exam. So the body did the action, or the mind did some action. I thought something, or I said something. So vak, mana, and sharira. So body, speech, and mind. Those are the three ways we do action. So actions are not done by me, because I am Brahman, I am Purusha, I am the consciousness. So when the body will do the actions, the body will suffer the consequences. Guna guneshu vartante iti matvana sajjate. Bhagavan Shri Krishna says that gunas are working with gunas. My body is interacting with other bodies. My mind is interacting with other minds. But what is it to me? That's why Swamiji says very well, Raja ko Rani mile, mujhe kya? Whether king gets the queen or doesn't, it doesn't affect me, because I am neither the king nor the queen, nor am I the world. I am. So let the world keep on doing. Anand ghan ko kya? He says, Raja ko Rani mile, Anand ghan ko kya? When I am that light of consciousness, ocean of consciousness, let the world do. Whether Trump gets elected or Biden gets, what is it to me? Yeah, as a human being, I do whatever is required in the world. But inside, I understand that I am neither the doer, nor the enjoyer, nor the sufferer. Enjoyer includes sufferer. I don't do anything. I don't enjoy anything. I don't suffer anything. I means I, the consciousness. As a human being, as an individual, I have to do whatever my duties are required, but as a servant of God. He says, as long as you are living in this body, live as his servant or her servant, whichever form of God you worship. I am a humble servant and I am here to do God's work. So what happens is slowly this superimposition will be removed. That's why they use the word adhyaropa and apavad in Sanskrit. Adhyaropa means this superimposition where I think the world is real and I am this body. So two superimpositions. I am this body and the world is real. So what does Guru do? He does apavad. He removes both of these ignorances, both of these superimpositions. And how? Through his advice, through his upadesha. So these two superimpositions are called upadhis or conditionings. So I am limited by this body and by this world, but neither this body is real nor the world is real. I am infinite Brahman. So slowly my hidden potential comes out and all these superimpositions I give up. So the purpose of studying the scriptures is to slowly, slowly remove these different supports that I have built up. What support I have? I am this individual. So then I need this support. I need that support. I need this to take care of me, that to take care of me. Slowly, slowly, the knowledge comes as humility comes. So when I say I am Brahman, it should not be out of arrogance that I am God. It should be out of humility that Brahman alone is and I am nothing. I am by myself as this individual. I am no thing. I am no thing. Brahman alone is, and Brahman alone is manifesting as this entire universe. So unless you approach the teacher with humility, you cannot study. Like the Zen story, everybody might have heard, but I can just briefly tell. So this person goes to the Zen master and says, "Master, teach me." So master says, "Well, what do you know?" So he says, "I know this, I know that, I have studied this, I have studied that, I am this, I." So he keeps on talking how much he knows. So the master keeps quiet for a while. He said, "Before we start, let's have some tea." So he starts pouring tea, and he keeps pouring tea, and the cup fills up. And there's a saucer, and he keeps pouring, and the cup is overflowing, going into the saucer. He says, "Why don't you stop pouring? The cup is already full." He says, "Yeah, that's your problem. Your cup is already full of your mind, and I don't have any space where I can put any knowledge. Whatever I put will just flow out." So that's what they say, that with humility, with surrender, with one should approach Guru and God. You know, that God is the one who has brought Guru to me, or Guru is the one that will take me to God. As Kabir Das ji says, "Guru Gobind dove khade, kake lagu paye." Guru and Gobind are both standing. Whom should I touch? Guru first, because Guru is the one who will take me to Govind. So that's why Shankaracharya ji says that to that Guru, Sri Dakshina Murti, is this prostration, who has removed my ignorance, even though I was deluded. And I used to think that this world is multiple, Dvaitam, that I am there, Jiva is there, Ishvara is there, Jagat is there, and then I have my children, and I have my property, and I have my body. All these are my relationships, my conditionings, my supports. But I'm grateful to Dakshinamurti Bhagwan, the Lord himself, who Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Nama Idam, Shri Dakshinamurtaye. So my prostration is to Dakshinamurti Bhagwan, who has appeared in the form of Guru, and with the Chin Mudra, with the sign of wisdom, which we had taught last week and the week before also, with the sign of wisdom, has revealed the truth to me that I and Brahman are one. Just as this individual represents the individual ego, this thumb represents Brahman, and the three fingers represent gross, subtle, and causal body. So when I am detached from those three, then I attach to Brahman, I attach to God, and realize my oneness. So the final understanding is that Brahman alone exists, Brahman alone is manifesting, and these name and form are there. This variety is there in the world for me to experience, and I experience the world, do whatever my duty is, but never forget my true nature. And so to that Brahman, to that Dakshinamurti, to that Bhagwan is this prostration. That's what Shankaracharya ji tells. Very, very beautiful shloka, that for people like us who are deluded and who think world is real and relationships are real, upadhis are real, conditionings are real, this shloka will help us to go beyond those attachments, those conditionings, to our true nature as Brahman. So each of these shlokas has very tremendous Upanishadic teaching, Upanishadic knowledge. And so with these 8 shlokas, the actual Upanishadic teaching of Dakshinamurti has ended. There are 2 more shlokas. We'll do one next week and one the week after that, which talk about Upasana, that who is this God to whom I worship, I prostrate. And then the 10th shloka will be what is the benefit of studying Dakshinamurti. So we'll do that in the next 2 weeks. We have 15 minutes. Anybody would like to ask any question or comments, anything to add? Is all clear? Kusum, you have to say anything?
No, I wish we were all clear. No, you said Maya in Sanskrit is male.
Yes.
So I was just looking up when you were talking a little bit. Maya ends with ah. So
Yes,
Ma
but
is
that's what I
female.
said.
So, but then we
So
looked up
that's
that
like
word
there are a
for
lot of muni, and then there are ikaranta are also, pulling and strilling and neuter. So can be pulling also, but Maya is pulling. Maya, Mayau, Mayaha, Mayam, Mayau, Mayan, like that. Like Deva, Devau, Devaha. It is Mayena. It is conjugated as Deva or as Rama or Krishna.
They say the root is ma, and yaha is added as a suffix, Y-A-H. So maybe it's ending as oh, that's why maybe it's pulling. I don't know.
Yeah, Mayaha.
Because the
Yaha.
root word is ma and
Yaha,
Y-A-H
right.
suffix is added. So
Maybe
maybe it ends in a, that's why maybe it's
right.
male,
Because
but
Mayaha, because that which is not, but
yeah,
it is
which
spoken as
measures.
Maya. Even in all the Sanskrit literature, everywhere it is written as Maya, but it is Mayaha. Yeah,
Yaha,
that
yeah.
which is not.
Maybe that's why it's
Could be
pulling,
that. Yeah,
yeah.
Guruji always tells Mayaha, that which is not.
Yaha. So,
Yeah, but
it ends
actually,
in so maybe we remember that way, that it ends in rather than ya. So then it might be easy to remember for us.
Right, but it is pronounced as Maya, not Mayaha.
Yeah, yeah.
But it is a masculine noun. It's not feminine. Actually, I myself, yesterday doing research, I found that I didn't know that. So it was very interesting to me. So
it's
I thought
very interesting. So it's just an illusion. So illusion is neither male, female, but I guess.
Right.
So I don't know. And the other thing is I wanted to just, say about this thing, the waking world, like Swami, Gurudev recommends here that even the waking world is like a dream, like in, Mandukya Upanishad. And here also Gurudev makes it. So that also we have to remember. This is how we see the dream, and easily we can say, oh, it was just a dream, nothing to worry about. So at the same time, we should be able to look at this world and say, oh, it's just a dream, because everything is, or other way projected that everything is Brahman, whichever is easier to, keep in mind to have our progress further.
Yes, thank you. That's true, because a realized master, when they wake up to the truth, then they see that this world is unreal, is a dream. But mainly you can remember like a play or like a movie. A movie is there, I'm playing my role. And when the movie ends, so the movie is not real. So if you think, then it becomes easier than to think that this world is not existing. That is very difficult. But if you say it's a movie or a play, and in which whatever role I have been assigned by the director, and I'm playing that role, I play to the best of my ability, but always remember that that is not my true nature. I am not like Devdas, he's alcoholic in the movie, but if Dilip Kumar starts thinking I'm alcoholic, goes home and starts drinking, then, so like that. So I should not forget, but we do, because we so identify with the role that we forget who we are. Neeru, anything you would like to add?
Not really. You covered it mostly. I think mostly what I was thinking, that these four that you talked about, Karya Karan, Putra, and the father and the son, and also those four things, teacher and that, all those ignorances is because we are not going and thinking all the way. See, if you think of Karya and Karan, if cause and effect, if you keep thinking, there at the end you will find it goes into an infinite regress. There is no. So there has to be. So lack of thinking or lack of vichara is also one of, like you said, how do you do that? One is by upasana or karma. Upasana and karma will purify your mind and will do that. But vichara has to be there. The thinking has to be done. Right. That's why Maya doesn't go away, because we do not do the enough thinking on it. That's why we can keep listening unless and until we think on it and we don't go that way. So I think that is what Putra and son and the father relationship, all these relationships, if you think they are to the body, they're not to the jiva. It's the body relationship. And we think, oh, I am the mother of this child. So the way our scriptures are saying, you are just a medium through which the kid has come or the child has come through you. You don't own. It's like, it is through that. So that is what, when we listen to it, we should do manana. That is what I think. Maya doesn't like inquiry. The more you do inquiry, and then that is how you can get rid of. So that's what I just wanted to add.
Thank you. That's very good. Thanks. Anything else? Ambika, Jayashree, anything you guys would like to add? Lata, no questions?
I always have questions. The question was, we are fortunate to have this knowledge, but aren't people around, or aren't the circumstances around us that is making this possible for us? So what are their contributions into
Circumstances mean what?
facilitating of us in this way, in this knowledge gathering?
You
And
mean bringing me to this knowledge?
yeah,
Bhagwan. It is his grace. It is only Bhagwan's grace that I am here. You and I are here and we are studying this beautiful text. We must have done something good somewhere. And it is only his blessings that we have this knowledge, we have this ability, that we met this Gurudev, Swami Chinmayananda. Everything is Bhagwan's grace. This world that he created and this Zoom that was, everything is not that his grace. So always be grateful that God created the circumstances for me to be here. And then of course, Guru and the parents, because the parents are the ones who gave me birth and gave me knowledge when I didn't know how to walk. I didn't know ABCD. So my mother and my father. And then the second parent is Guru, but of course the ultimate parent is Bhagwan. So always have a relationship of love and gratitude to Bhagwan for bringing, even the fact that we are here, it has to be a tremendous grace of Guru and God. Otherwise, to be discussing this difficult text, I never thought I would ever even understand, let alone be able to discuss. It is all because of, and that's what I do. I take, commentaries and I just combine them. So it is Guru and Bhagwan.
Yeah, so to be at this point, can you, I know you said gratitude, but all those who came, brought us to this point, what kind of gratitude I can show it in ways that that is of this world, so to
Right.
say.
So I think,
because
yeah.
I feel that, like last week you had that interfaith seminar, and I thought one of the other person brought this point very well, that home in this life is what I'm going to make the best, and not think of it beyond that life, beyond this life. How do I make that not just for me, but for everybody around me? How do I get to that? And that needs actions, not just knowledge. It has to be transformed in a more creative, positive, active way to lift others also along with me. So that's what at times I have, I go through that emotions, let me put it that way.
Yeah, no, you answered your own question that I am in this world, which is my home. So I do my best to make this world a better place. Just as when I live in a particular house, I make sure it's clean, it's organized, I paint it and then I, beautify it. So same way, I try to make this world a better place. And secondly, how do I express my gratitude to God? They said, God, whatever I have is my gift from God. What I do with what I have is my gift to him. So I make the best use of my abilities to help others to make this world a better place. And I never lose gratitude to God and to the teacher and to the guru. So to God by making this world a better place, and to the guru by understanding this knowledge, applying it, sharing it with others, and then supporting the guru, the institution that has taught me. So that's how you express your gratitude. But basically, yeah, to make this world a better place and to share this knowledge with others. And the greatest gift is to abide in this knowledge. Yeah, Neeru, sorry, you were saying.
And another way of showing gratitude is with humility.
Ji?
With humility.
Humility, yes. Right, true. So true. Thank you. Does that answer your question? Lata, you already answered it actually. Yeah, go ahead, Kusum.
Okay.
I just want to just tell Lataji this question where she said, how did we all come in here? And I remember Gurudev always said that whenever we collected in the audience or something, he would say, the Shubha Vichar, the auspicious thought, is the first thing that will bring you to Vedanta. And that Shubha Vichar is only because of his grace. So you answered it correctly, but I just remembered his sentence very well that he used to tell us that Shubha Vichar doesn't come to all of the people in the world that we see. It's only very few, or in fact, very few also know this Vedanta, which is Advaita Vedanta, because there are so many other Vedanta that are there. So I think that Shubha Vichar is the most first thing that brings us all because of God's grace.
Right. Now somebody asked Guruji, why to your lecture there's only 250 people, and when Shah Rukh Khan comes, there's 5,000, 10,000 people and 1,000 rupee ticket. He said, I'm surprised even 250 come to my lecture. He says, this knowledge is so difficult. Even those of you who are here, I'm surprised. So the point is that it is very rare. Again, Bhagavan says, out of thousands of people, only one seeks me, and out of thousands who seeks me, only one gets me. So it is Bhagavan's grace. And also, I think our Purushartha is there. The fact that we all logged in and we sat down and we are listening,
Exactly.
we are discussing. So it's we have to put our effort. The knowledge is not going to come from the sky and suddenly fall in. I have to study. I have to put my effort. Whatever we study, we think about it, apply it, all that. So Purushartha has to be there. It's not only all Guru's grace and God's grace. God said, I have given you, now what do you do with it? Neeru, you want to add anything?
No, that's good. What you are saying is fine.
When I started coming to these classes, I had asked Niruji same question. I said, how do you go and find this? She said, don't worry about that part. Bhagwan will make Guru come to you. I still remember that.
Right.
It does.
That's
If it's like the flower is unfolded, the bee will come to it. It's the same way. You unfold your mind and Guru will come. If that is your desire, because totality works with you. So you should have good desires, things will come to you. If you have seen that movie called Secret, that's what it says. Whatever you desire, you attract that. So if you have good desires, good things will come to you. If you keep thinking, they show a guy who is in a lot of trouble, and that's all he's thinking, and more troubles come to him. So you have to think good and positive. So that was one. It's a nice movie actually, Secret. So it is totality. That's how it works. And if you have the desire to learn this knowledge, it will come to you. And then, of course, like Anil said, you have to put the effort. Yeah.
And also it's Purva Janma Samskara
Yeah.
also. I mean,
Of course. Of course.
So that's why we have to do sattvic actions in this life so that we have better samskara in
More.
the next life. So
No, so that we have no other life.
that is it. That is the best thing, at least. I mean, that is the eventual.
That is.
That is the highest, but at least, that's why, what we do will really have is the blueprint.
No, I'm gonna have the next life and I'm gonna be a Bharatnatyam dancer. It is given for sure. Sorry, if you don't want to be there to see it, bye-bye.
No, so just go and watch Bharatnatyam. Why do you want to become a Bharatnatyam dancer?
I am. They are the most expressive, beautiful way of expression. I feel that, but anyway.
But I think with this knowledge, at least once you are clear, then your goal should be, I don't want another birth.
No,
Because birth means sorrow. See, starting from coming out of the mother's womb, it starts with sorrow till the end, till you get cremated. Everything is sorrow. Beach may you get some moments of joy, maybe when you do some Bharatnatyam, but how many years you have to work and get beaten by the teacher and then crying and your legs aching. And
okay, the thing is, I was able to do Zumba until, a few years ago, but not anymore. I mean, nothing. If I can walk several miles, that's good enough. So, so when I see that beautiful expression, with all it just mesmerizes me, I tell you. And, generally Bharatnatyam is all devotional expression. So thank you.
Okay. Chalo, thank you. We'll end. See you next week. We'll do the Upasana Shloka. We'll do the closing prayer. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you very much. Hari Om.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jayashree?
Thank you.
Jayashree?
Yes.